I'm going to be breaking down what the best home defense weapon you can possibly own for defending your home is. I want to preface this video by saying I'm going to be breaking down what the best possible weapon for home defense is in this video, but I would like to preface that no tangible item is worth another's life, and at the end of the day, this is just to defend your family and keep them safe. Also depends on your state laws. I live in a stand your ground state, so this may vary for you, which you should do research on your own state's laws before getting into a topic like this. I'm going to break this video down into 4 categories. Starting off, you're going to have your full-size AR, AK style rifles. Next, you're going to have your shotguns. Thirdly, you're going to have your pistol caliber carbines. And lastly, you're going to have your everyday carry pistols or just pistols. The first category that I am going to start off with is going to be AR platform rifles. Right here, we have a Q Sugar Weasel. This one has a Streamlight flashlight that has strobe. And right here, we have a Daniel Defense DD-M4 AR pistol configuration. This is in 300 blackout and this is in 5.56. I'm going to go over the pros and cons of each. Starting off, you cannot have a home defense weapon without having a flashlight on it. 99% of the time, if a home break-in occurs, it's going to be at night, and you need to be able to positively identify the suspect, especially if you have other people that live with you in your house, such as your family or friends or a roommate. So the importance of having a flashlight, preferably one with strobe, is very important, and having a nice size optic is a lot better than a smaller closed red dot. I would personally say so something like an EOTech or a Holosun AEMS allows for a good target acquisition, especially it being woken up in the middle of the night. You're not going to be that ready. So preferably you would have a shorter barrel system set up. Personally, I would go with the 300 blackout. 1, the ballistics at closer range are better, and 2, if you're clearing corners, you're not going to have a barrel sticking out as long. There's obviously pros and cons, so on neither of these are suppressed. You have to keep in mind the decibel output of your rifles inside while unsuppressed is going to be extremely loud. So if you don't have ear pro on, which you probably don't, it's going to be very loud, which in the moment it's not going to matter because you're defending your home and your ears will survive. But in the case of having another family member in the home being woken up by that and not knowing, could kind of mess with everyone's hearing, and then you wouldn't know who is who. So these are a good option. Kind of the negatives are potential over penetration. Can easily go through, both of these can easily go through drywall. So if you have other people living in the house, you wouldn't want the possibility of that going through the wall and hitting them, or people outside and hitting bystanders outside. You never know. So these are good options, but the possible over penetration and then the loudness without them being suppressed, as well as barrel length on this one, preferably you'd have a pistol configuration. So these are good options, but they're definitely better. Now the next setup is going to be pistol caliber carbines. These are another good option. Personally, I would have a larger bore round, but for someone like your wife or a younger kid that you're training, this would be definitely a good option for them because of less recoil and it's quiet, not as loud. Obviously, that's not going to make much of a difference inside, but once suppressed, these would actually make for a pretty viable option indoors for home defense. You're getting a little bit longer barrel out of each, so you are getting more velocity, overall more damage. So starting off, this is a 9mm Strybog SB9A3. Have a flashlight on this. This would be one I would personally choose or give to a loved one to defend the home with. You have 30 rounds. It's a very good option. Recoil is not much at all on this. Right here you have a 10mm Smith & Wesson FPC. 10mm is a very heavy hitting round, especially out of this long barrel. It's doing some damage for sure. Like I said, neither of these are suppressed, and I would say suppressed would be your best option, but obviously not everyone can afford a suppressor, and like you see, these don't have a suppressor. Personally, I would not choose these, but PCCs are definitely a good option, and definitely 10mm has the put down power. 9mm I might want a little bit more than that, but the capability on both of these is nice. This one is a 16-inch, but this one is an 8-inch, so you don't have as much barrel sticking out, which is nice, clearing the house. Good option. I would not say the best. We're going to move on to the third. Now we're going to be talking about handguns. This is a Springfield Prodigy with a Streamlight TLR1 HLX and a Holosun 507C. Very big window optic, and it's a holographic style, which I personally like. especially for at night. Getting target acquisition with a bright flashlight and a larger optic is key. One holds 20 rounds, good capacity for a 9mm. It is comped, very easy on the recoil. This is the gun that sleeps right next to me every night. This would probably be my first pick in a pinch because of how fast I could get to it, and it's ready to go. Got to turn the safety off, turn the red dot on, and we're good to go. Very easy on the recoil, lower capacity than some of the other guns, but the recoil is definitely controllable. I would say this would probably be my second best option if I could not get to my first most option, but definitely a great choice. At the end of the day, I have this and a Springfield Echelon, but the Prodigy definitely takes the cake. Now we're going to go on to my first choice. By far, the best home defense weapon is a 12-gauge shotgun, pump, or semi-automatic. That is up to you. I have two options right here. I have a Kalashnikov 12-gauge AK style right here, holds 5 shells. And then I have a Kel-Tec KSG, which has a lot higher capacity. It is a pump shotgun, which has a good psychological factor because ideally, you're not wanting to do any harm to anybody, but your goal is to get them out of your home. Having that pump sound is worldwide known as a deterrent and definitely does something psychological to an intruder. So having the ability to have that noise and hopefully not have to hurt anybody is a plus. Capacity on this one is a lot higher than that, as well as I have a flashlight on this one that has strobe capability, which, like I said, if a gun does not have a weapon mounted light, it is not a home defense weapon. 9 times out of 10, you're gonna have an intruder at night. So having a flashlight on your gun to positively identify the subject is crucial. This one acts as a nice foregrip / flashlight, which is nice, makes it a lot easier to pump the gun. 12 gauge is just a nasty close quarters round. Obviously, I believe shotguns are worldwide known as the best home defense weapon, especially if you have a configuration like a bullpup style. A magazine fed bullpup would be great because it is a lot more compact and clearing corners. You don't have the chance of your barrel getting grabbed as easily as you would have a 16-inch rifle. 12 gauge is a lot more devastating close quarters. You have different types of shells for different purposes. One of the big benefits is not over penetration. So if you're using double aught buck or something, or a certain load besides a slug, more than likely you're not going to have the occurrence of a shell going through into another room and potentially hurting an innocent person. That is one of my big benefits of a 12 gauge shotgun, is you don't have that over penetration and you definitely have plenty of stopping power. That is the one thing that is not even questionable with a 12 gauge shotgun. This is my go-to, is a shotgun, not necessarily one of these specifically. I have a couple other options to choose from. I would say a 12 gauge pump or semi-automatic, depends on your preference, but it has to have a weapon mounted flashlight. I start with my handgun, which is the Prodigy, and then I would go to something like a 12 gauge shotgun. Now keep in mind, the best home defense weapon at the end of the day is what you have, can afford, and are comfortable and reliable with using. Granted, if you don't have a budget, yes, you can go out and get all these and you can get the best thing in the world, but at the end of the day, training matters than budget, and having a preparedness plan with your family is the most important. Without a plan, things will go into chaos. More than likely, chaos won't ensue either way, but at least you have some sort of stability in that chaos. So I want to know what you guys think is the best home defense weapon, why you agree or why you disagree with me. Leave a comment down below, and please like and subscribe. It's much appreciated, guys.